I hate myself right now. Thank you, Sora. Hello, peeps. Alright, let me start over. Hey, everybody. How are you all doing today? I will put some audio in there. Alright, and let me start over. Hello, Sora Luna. Thank you for being the first one today. Hello, Patrice and PA. Hello. How are you all doing today? Sorry about the audio issue. I apparently had a feedback earlier when I was chatting with somebody. So, PA, Sora, Patrice, thank you for joining me early, and I apologize again. But here's what we're going to do. Here's the dilemma I have. V, Romanian V. Dr. V. Read something from apparently a teacher in Oklahoma or Ohio. I have a link to the article. I can probably check it out if you guys want me to. But it was an assignment, which has been done a few times. And the assignment, not necessarily by school students 6 to 8, more by adults as a critical thinking concept. But they're assigned this paper to decide 8 people out of a group of 12 to send on a mission, and they have to be able to repopulate the planet. So, I'm weird. I'm overthinking this. I know I am. Or I'm underthinking it. Or I'm just being stupid. I'm being a numbskull. I don't know yet. But, here's my plan. And here's how you guys can help me if you so choose. Send me a message on Discord or in Twitter, filling out the quote-unquote application that I've created for somebody to go. And I will illustrate right here. Here's what we are doing. We are running a thought experiment. Boom. This is the candidate program. I'm going to explain, discuss, fill you guys in on what my plan is. Hopefully I can get a little bit of help. I'm hoping that with all of the fun stuff that we do in here, we can randomize what happens and run a scenario, a thought experiment scenario, using 8 individuals, trying not to inbreed the population and trying to procreate and evolve and see if the civilization fails. So what I'm going to do is I'll explain it out, and then on Wednesday night, I haven't worked on any of the art for it. I'm still trying to get math and information and images and things to share and let you guys know what it is I'm finding and why we're doing this. So I'm trying to think something out. We live in an age where we think we can colonize another planet. So what do we need to do to colonize a planet? And in my research so far today, and when I say research, I mean I will dive and dig and learn as much as I can, as quick as I can. Welcome, TC. I will try to learn all I can to make an educated decision on what I think an appropriate course would be. So, to me, a thought process being you have to choose 8 people to go. Okay, so let's legitimately try to choose 8 people we think would be viable in procreation. So I'm asking for 16 applications that look like this. Let me fix that. This is the application. I've had a couple of them deposit already. I think I have 4 currently. The goal, again, will be to have at least 16. Once I get 16 applications, hopefully by next Wednesday, we're going to go over the 16 applications and we are going to grade the applications and figure out which 8 people get to go. Only 8 people fit. That's the requirement we're setting. But we're taking applications for twice as many so that we can select the best of the available group to go on the mission. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to structure this show yet, but obviously I want to be entertaining. But you guys know I'm also really weirdly into this educational stuff. So here is my thought problem. I honestly don't know if a population will survive. And in looking at rationale and statistics, as of like the 4th or 5th generation, you start to run into the probability of low-end inbreeding. And once you do that, you increase later probability of allele problems. And so one of the things we're going to do in the chat is every time we do a show and we go over a genealogy or a generation or cover something and add randomization to it, one of the random items is obviously going to be negative things that happen. And I think those might be the fun parts of the show. I haven't figured out how to structure it again, but guys, I will have something laid out. This is going to be fun. All right. How many of you would think it be a good idea? Unfortunately, again, this is kind of called eugenics because we're going to basically take DNA structures. I'm going to do this all with numbers and math. I'm not looking at who's black, white, male, female. That really isn't going to come into play except for like genetic breeding from generation to generation. And we're going to offer in problems and scenarios and probabilities of things that will go wrong along the way, which will hinder efforts so that it doesn't come out to the max calculation that I've already come to, which is a 2-fold increase or 100% genetic population increase by generation 5, assuming the first 8 are generation 1, which apparently the first 8 are generation 0. So by generation 4, you run into a problem where you can only have 16 kids created from a lot more than 16 people, or a lot more than 32 people. So I don't know where else this is going to run into problems. Talk to me, folks. Is this something that may or may not interest you to continue? Because I have some applications. I think we'll start with Boris's application. We've got Dave M. Boris, who is 32, 6'2", male, 205 pounds, Caucasian, no religion, landscaper, bisexual, spent time in food service, wears reading glasses, smoker, works hard, enjoys travel, not into commitment, writes unpublished books, and into remote control racing as a hobby. So obviously have a little fun with this. Create a fake character that's semi-real. Offer it some positives, offer it some negatives, and what we'll do is we'll weigh the different created characters. Again, all fake. This isn't real. We're running a thought experiment. So your thoughts are going to be fully included on this experiment and on all of the shows if you choose to participate. But the curious question is, and in conversations, what kind of participation am I going to have in a show that talks about how survival works? Especially if... Wait, where's my chat? Hello. I say a hello. That one says hello. That one's at 1908. It's 2 minutes behind. Or nobody's talking. I'll go with it's 2 minutes behind. Why would that one be behind? We'll have to work on that. No, it's on time. What's going on? I'm wondering what kind of outcome would happen if we were to send a small number of people on a ship to survive on another planet. Would they be capable of doing it? At what point does it become a viable population? Can we play it through and have like 1,000 people, which would create obviously a viable population? I want to apply the outcome of what we find in our thought experiment to other thoughts that I've been having about how different civilizations have possibly come up around different eras, causing different changes in the structure of humanity and humans. So we are Homo sapiens why can't I think? We're Homo sapiens sapiens brought from other DNA strands. So not only would there be then cross mingling, but could some of the genetic deformities that have followed through could some of those have been inbred characteristics? I'm wondering, depending on what the outcome is and how the show goes, can I take some of the findings, even be it not necessarily rational findings, can I take those and try to generically apply them to other equations? So I want to look into this. I want to see if there's something I can do with it. Sora, it sounds both very complex and like it could be fun. Okay, now I'm going to do all the complex stuff. What I'm going to do for the show is I'm going to try to do all of the math. I'm trying to come up with probability of issues, things that could go wrong, and decide where they should be applied. But the chat is going to help to contribute the profiles for the people that we're going to select. I don't want the chat profiles. I don't want TA sending me a, hi, my name's Susan Brown and I'm 36 from Massachusetts. I weigh 130 pounds. No. I want a couple of fake profiles. If everybody who likes the idea sends me a profile and I get 16, that'll make the show pretty viable for me. I'm up to 4 profiles so far. I made 1 and Director Marketer made 2. So we'll see how that goes. If I can get 16 profiles, then we can spend a couple of shows. I don't know. I'm just... Sorry. Poor illustration. If TA filled out the application, I'm Arnold Jeepentauer, and I'm 36 and the former governor of Minnesota, and I'm doing my best, man. I'm sorry, man. If I just sit here and call you man, would that be better? Don't worry, man. I got you, man. You just got to help me through this, man. So I want to fill out 16 of these applications, or get you guys to help fill out 16. And then we're all going to go through and we're going to try to grade down the applications and decide which 8, the best 8 to go, which of those are going. And then, no more than then. And then we are going to try and decide from those 8, running mathematical computations, what will we get? And I ran some numbers, me just being the mathy kind of me. I don't want the hat, I just want the notebook. I ran some numbers. Now trying to draw it out got a little complicated, so I'm going to work on that a little differently because illustrations help me, so I'm going to draw it out. In the first generation with the first 8, if you labeled them all 1 through 8, females 1 through 4, males 5 through 8, and you coincide them, then you come up with pairs of 15, 25, 35, 45, 16, 26, 36, 46, 17, 27, 37, 48, 18, 28, 38, 48, and then you take those pairs and you sequentially create children from the other sides, assuming that you can have 4 children of each. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you guys, you'll know the math just for me to brush across it. But basically, after 3 generations or 60 years, at generation 4, assuming the first 8 are 0, at generation 4, you only have 16 viable kids that can have kids with 16 other viable kids. So after that, their great-great-grandparents constitute a less than 0% probability of allele differentiation, whatever that part was that causes the alleles to mismatch and causes diseases to come forward. If we can remove that percentage, if we can lower that percentage as far down as possible by diluting the gene pool, then we can keep producing more generations without causing genetic deformities as quickly. And the more population we can create using that method, the faster we can get there. Now, what am I missing? What the fuck, NumbedSkull, being an audience member of you is starting to sound like a job. I'm sorry. Not suitable for mom. Too many yokels then. Stop, will you please stop? Okay. Basically, it's like this. I'm going to do a bunch of math and a bunch more work. And right now my head is spooling with all this information that I'm currently looking up on this topic. And I want to know what kind of feedback would I have if we go into each... hey, Jason. If we go into each individual one, and we score it and grade it, and we decide who's going to go. So a goal of a show is going to be to find our 8 people and launch our rocket. And then I may come up with some cool illustrations and things, and we'll show our rocket landing on another planet. And then we'll decide how that rocket, with the remaining people on board, is going to procreate and create a population on that planet. And then we're going to, basically, using the chat's randomness, I got that, Jason, no worries. Using the chat's randomness, we are going to be deciding who lives and dies and figuring out whether or not a population will survive or fizzle. Big Chief Fuzzybeard, welcome. Oh, you did it for the bot. Just so you know, you change your name or come in on another account and you're bounced out all over. But more fun be it. So, here we have Boris again on the screen. And Boris has not been approved because he has not gone through scoring. So, what I'm going to do is set it up for like voting, where you guys can randomly and rapidly vote for who you want to have what score or something. I'm still working out which would be best. Would it be fun to make a semi-entertaining, semi-educational game of controlling a civilization to decide whether or not it will live or die? With the intent, obviously, for it to live, with the probability that it will die. I think you should take your rocket to your planet and go fuck yourself. Nobody likes this idea? Fine. I'll run the probability odds and I'll make a video that looks retarded. Does that sound fun? Does that sound fun? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it because that sounds like fun. Like hurricanes and stuff. If you can bombard it with stuff. What do you want to bombard? The civilization? Alright. Here's my estimates. Here's my estimates and what I think will make this fun. According to my equations, highest probability is with each female having 4 children. How many females want to have 4 kids? How many females are capable of having 4 kids? How many are going to die before they have 4 kids? How many are going to have any kids? And if they don't fulfill 4 kids, which obviously isn't going to be obligated, but it's going to be strongly recommended. If they don't fulfill that, then the population could die or could take further generations for them to create the proper setup of offspring in order for it to survive. Just make it weird sounds for an hour like last time on Colors. You want me to sing like Mervyn the Martian? I will blow up your planet! I just need to find the proper plutonium to load into the machine, and we will fire my laser! Welfare queens want to have to buy more than 4 kids because government pays them more. Okay, so eliminate government. You're not going to run on a government setup. We're going to have to create one that works, and the government is obviously... See, this is what I want to do. I want to brainstorm how I can make this more fun for you to help me run this equation, because I need help creating randomness. Randomness is wonderful in an equation like this because it's one of the things that's the hardest to predict in this type of equation. So if I can't predict the randomness, I can account for it using mathematical probability equations, but let's use people that want bad things to happen for fun. And then we'll decide which person just randomly dies during childbirth, or a meteor comes through a window and it goes right through his eyeball and his brain is sucked through the glass window. We'll make this as entertaining and auditorily graphic, maybe even visually graphic as I can without being lost from YouTube. I obviously am going to do my best. You need to invite me. Dada, that's tomorrow. I invite you tomorrow. Shh, it's okay. Everybody else knows it's still Friday. I'm just starting out with proof of concept here, trying to explain out the idea. If I get poor feedback, I might do a couple of video segments. But if I get good feedback and you guys want to participate in the possible uprise, or demise of a civilization that doesn't exist based on fake characters that you help create and votes and challenges and probabilities that you help influence, okay, then it's all for you. And I think I could be very wrong. I think sometimes my chat comes to interact. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Let's talk. We're gonna talk. It's only 20 after. I'll tell you what, Data. Let's do this. Welcome, Jolly Roger Bilgewater. Let's do this, Data. I will let... Ouch. Scraping the mic with my knuckle. I will let the chat vote. If you want Data to come in and chat about this, put D. If you don't want Data to come in and chat, put K. And from there, but I guarantee Dada's going to be here tomorrow night so long as alarms all work. Don't know. Not suitable for man says don't know. That works too. That's a 50-50. So we have one positive D. We have two positive Ds. I'm going to have to positively get some double Ds. You hear that, Data? The audience loves you. And the audience loves you, and I'm gonna crackle for a moment because in order to send Data the link, I have to load up my Discord here real quick because I didn't plan for a guest tonight. Big Chief Fuzzybeard says double D's, not suitable says double D's. We got a whole bunch of D's in the chat for the Data. We got that, and we'll copy that, and then we're just waiting for Discord to warm up and tell me what's going on. While we're waiting for Discord, let's see if there's anybody in chat I'm missing. We got Yummy double D, nothing like a pair of juicy double D's. Oh no, don't do that, cancel. And we'll make this run, and we'll pull this over there. And we're still waiting. Waiting. You have my Gmail. You added that. I may have your Gmail, but for me, Discord is the way to get hold of you the easiest. Because boom, boom, click. And I did adjust my processor, so everything's running as nice as it possibly could for tonight's show. Let's move this out of the way. And we'll pull this down. And let me see what my connection is. Everything's still green.
What the hell is going on?
The lights.
What the hell is going on?
Oh no.
What the hell is going on? Ooh,
Oh,
echo,
no.
echo, 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 echo.
Wait, where
I love it.
That's not me.
Yeah, I know. 1 second. Hold on.
I can fix that. Hold on, we'll do that.
Give me a moment. Holy shit. What is going on?
Okay, so
What is going on with you?
my mind just runs on tangents.
What are you trying to do? Populate a planet? I don't understand.
Yes, I'm trying to populate a
be like
planet.
some sort of role-playing game?
Okay, is that what it would be referred to? No, I want to run a thought experiment. All right, so probability says that this can't be done, and supposedly from reports that I've read, it says that at least 25 couples or up to 160 individuals need to be on a mission to populate a planet. But can you put 160 people on a ship?
Can I put 160 people on a ship?
Yeah.
Depends on the size of the ship, I would assume.
A spaceship.
Well, it depends on the size of the spaceship.
Planet.
The space on the spaceship.
All right, so everybody who knows anything about spaceships knows as you increase the population, you exponentially increase the amount that you need in order for the population to survive. And then once you increase the amount you need, you exponentially
doing it
increase
again.
the fuel.
You're breaking my brain. What is this? Is this like some sort of math problem? Did the audience like have a surprise SAT test? Well, they're supposed to be entertained. You're supposed to like tap
Question
dance.
34. Will a population survive on another planet with 8 people? A, yes. B, no. C, throw several wrenches in the works and let's try this out. D, what the fuck is wrong with my head?
Yeah, who cares?
All the above.
Who cares? Who cares? Oh, why are you doing this?
Data save us. All right, so I went on a thought process. So there was an article in Oklahoma.
You're thinking too much. Holy shit! I mean, these guys come over here to listen to you, be entertained. They want to relax. They don't want to start doing genetic experiments and filling out forms and
Ooh,
buying tickets on a rocket.
Experiments.
Oh my God!
All right, so let's talk this through. I'll remove the math for a moment. Let's remove the math for a moment.
Let's remove the whole problem for a moment.
Do you think a population could survive, and what would it take to start a population on another planet? That's a decent question.
So's why is NumbedSkull not entertaining me? That's a decent question too. I'll bet you that was asked 10 times today.
I don't know. Let's find out in the chat on a scale of 1 to.
Yeah, chat, on the scale of 1 to 10, would you like NumbedSkull to be a more normal NumbedSkull and a little less analytical NumbedSkull? 1 to 10. 1 is, sure, be yourself, and 10 is, please bring the old NumbedSkull back.
Yeah, Data has a channel. I'll make sure I add it back into the description on this one since he's on here. It's not that I'm trying to get rid of the old one. I'm looking, all right, I'm dividing up the different things that I do into different shows. But when my mind goes on a tangent, I want to explore that tangent. I want to see where the thought process goes and where the math goes.
I guess what I'm trying to say is this. If you want to explore something, then explore
Bubonic.
something.
NumbedSkull wants to kill 264 people is all.
I'm just saying, if you want to explore something and you find it interesting, then take the chat along. But don't involve them. In other words, if it's interesting to them, they'll be interested. They'll love watching it. If it's not interesting to them, you'll know soon enough. But I mean, unless you want to play Dungeons and Dragons or some video games, I just think you're going off on a tangent.
Well, the tangent is I'm running the experiment. I'm starting the experiment as close to, but having fun with, the original thought process. And that's taking 12 people and selecting which 8 which get to start the new population. Which I thought was one of the weirdest parts of it, and I wanted to explore that.
Yeah, but to what end? And even so, you're not going to get...
To a cruel, bitter, punishing end. That end.
You're not going to get the right answer. I mean...
No. You know what answer I expect to get? I expect to get a failure. I expect to get a failure.
That's somebody else.
Computing out the possibility of success.
Failure has his own channel.
All right, so I expect 8 people to fail at repopulating a planet. But when you look at some of the math, there is a very slim possibility 8 people could do it. The problem when you look into it is, and to explain this all to the chat, as you look into this problem, by using fewer components, it adds to the probability that you're going to pollute the genetics with too many alleles, which could allow diseases to come forward, which would cause the population to not continue from there.
Let me ask you this. How are you talking right now?
Like
on this planet, surrounded by 6 billion human beings.
Yeah.
Didn't it all start from one pair?
Well, here's the question. Once I run the thought process, I want to apply it to different fields. This is why I wanted to run it somewhat thoroughly, add randomization to it, is how could our population have gotten to where it is? And
so you want to take the most valued thing on YouTube your subscribers and experiment on them mentally, physically, and medically.
Does somebody want to hop on the table for me voluntarily?
Hey, on another note,
on another note, 11 billion people have died on the planet that we know of since humans have begun.
On another note, what do you think about the damn
front hole?
Huh?
Are you going to bring up the front hole?
Front hole? Oh, no, I'm not going to bring up the front hole. What do you think about that damn what the hell is it called? The effect, the Mandela effect I sent you.
All right, so the Mandela effect is really confusing to me because sometimes it doesn't affect, and I try to look into it, but when you look into it, it gets even harder to distinguish the confusing part.
Chat, do you remember watching Moonraker? Yes or no? Moonraker, the 007 movie with the bad guy that was Jaws.
It's an older one. I don't think I've seen that one, to be honest.
Really? That was one of them with what's his name? The Roger Moore.
Okay, I didn't watch all the James Bonds. Really wasn't.
Okay,
maybe it should.
There was a scene. There was a scene when Jaws met the love of his life, which was this nerdy little girl with pigtails, and they smiled at each other. And I personally remember the girl having braces, and that was the funny thing about the whole scene, because Jaws was this 8 foot tall monster with steel teeth that used to be able to bite through anything. That's why they called him Jaws. So it was her, this little 5'2", pigtailed, looked like a little country girl with braces and glasses, and this monster with teeth, and they were in love, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The Mandela effect. She doesn't have braces. Dun, dun, dun.
Now, 007 was it a book before a movie back then?
Usually most of them were.
Yeah. So then it was written in a way. Did you read the book? Or did you discuss the book?
You know what the crazy thing is? There is written stuff. There's like even this Jaws guy died, and in his obituary they talked about the girl with glasses and braces. It's mentioned multiple times. I remember that was the whole point of the scene, because he smiled, or no, she smiled at him, and the braces showed, and then he smiled, and his steel teeth showed, and she smiled even bigger, and he smiled even bigger, and that was the whole scene, because they found they were like two peas in a pod.
Yeah, they had something in common. They kind of,
right.
We can fall in love because we have common.
Otherwise, that scene doesn't even make sense. But yet, the Mandela effect stepped in, and now she doesn't have braces.
Well, what do you guys think in chat? I need a brain the size of a planet. That would be interesting.
Jolly Rogers needs alcohol.
I too could use some alcohol.
I think it was because she had she had perfect teeth.
She does not have braces, says Jason.
Well, yeah, if you look it up right now, if you Google it right now, she doesn't have braces. I personally remember her having braces. And there are other people that remember. That's the whole point of this Mandela effect. Half the population remembers it, the other half doesn't. There's another thing. During the Chinese Revolution, there was a guy who was stood in front of a tank. And he blocked the tank, and the tank tried to go around him, and he stepped right back in front of the tank and stopped the tank. And at that point, the revolution stopped. Now, there are people on this planet that remember that tank running over them and making a huge bloody puddle, and they say that's what stopped the revolution, because of that one guy dying. It was so graphic that It ended it right there. I personally remember it the first way.
Berenstein Bears and Berenstain Bears. Okay, the Berenstein Bears has two. There's
What do
two
you mean it has
separate
to?
ones about the misspellings. One of them is that it's IEN, one of them is that it's EIN or something.
Bernstein and Bernstein.
Yeah, it's not Stain. It was Stein. It was Berenstein or Berenstein.
But yeah, I mean, listen, it's a weird thing. I don't know. People say, well, it's because, people, see things a certain way, and that's why you're remembering it wrong. And other people say, well, you're hearing it from somebody else, and it's passed on information, and that's why you're hearing it wrong. And sure, those are explanations, I guess. The thing is that the crazy thing is that in the future, right, even right now, video can be edited, text can be edited, the web can be edited, and if the SJWs have their way, words can just disappear out of history, out of text, and well, maybe at one point we'll never know. History will just keep on changing and morphing.
Yeah, that's highly probable. At the rate we're going, they just took another statue down.
Yeah, I mean, that's so stupid, it's not even funny. Don't they understand that okay, back then they weren't even thinking of stuff like that back then. They were trying to survive.
Even so,
Even I mean, when there was slavery, there was no such thing as racism. Racism and slavery have nothing to do with each other. It
okay.
wasn't. It wasn't
Tell you what, I
because
will
they
give
were
them
black
racism.
that they were
I will
turned
give
into
them
slaves.
racism. Data, hold
Huh?
on. I will give them racism. I will give them slavery. I will give them Jim Crow and all that other shit. However, here is the flaw I have with that argument. And that is, when you get into the argument over whether or not white people are racist against black people, you have to remember that in order for black people to have come up to the same elevation from where they were, black people didn't have the power to do that. They had no way. They couldn't push laws. They couldn't enforce laws. And combined, they couldn't barely make anything happen because of the way laws were written. It took lots and lots and lots of white people who didn't agree and didn't want it to continue over and over and over to write the laws to free slaves. It was not black people who fought for black freedom. It was white people. It is, however, a black person that started the fight to slave black people.
Right. Well,
So
a
when
black
I hear white people are inherently racist, I get annoyed because more than half of them inherently aren't, or you would still be slaves because of a black person who was cheap.
what gets me even more annoyed is a black person being obviously and obnoxiously racist and saying he can't be because he's black. That's even more annoying. Listen,
Yeah.
you can call me a racist. I'm not a racist. I know I'm not a racist. It'll roll right off my back. I don't do racist things. But if you're gonna be a racist and you're gonna say, "Oh, but I'm not a racist. I can't be a racist. Look at the color of my skin." That is so obnoxious and so stupid and so repugnant to me. I mean,
You
makes
know,
me
I was
crazy.
making comments jokingly, but as you go through the multitude of various species of humanoids that lived before us on the planet, if you go through artist depictions of them, and this is funny, you barely find a lot of white people. They all look like they're dark or olive colored
Right.
or other shades. And white people are a product of an ice age, a cold environment where we couldn't live out in the sun on a regular basis, living in either the heavy north or very south, which is very improbable but still possible. This is something that happens because of the climate and elevation. It is kind of a separate division of the Homo sapiens sapiens, and in that, you don't want to get rid of it. It becomes a difference
you're doing it again.
Information is important. Reference and criteria.
Yes, I know. You're a fucking library.
You say that to me as you, by the way, did you see this video over here? Did you know about this? No. Did you know about this? It's no. When I get exposed to something, it's what does that mean? And where can I find out more
I love bringing you into like the world of a bunch of useless knowledge, and then you throw all your useful knowledge at it.
I try to apply reasonable thinking to a complex problem and see if it
Did you know, guys, that Numbed didn't know about the 1950s, the UFO, the mass UFO flyover on Washington D.C.?
No, I didn't know about that one, but I knew about the one in, obviously the main ones in Arizona and Los Angeles, and the fight over L.A. and the possible battle in 2013 over the Atlantic Ocean, using multinational forces against possible alien deterrent methods to see if we could fight off an invasion. Yeah, I'm semi-versed in some things, but when you search for alien encounters, do you know how hard it is to find them all? Or to find comparative analysis?
Lately, it's even worse and worse, because I really think now Google is starting to
actively make it harder to find. Yes,
they're hammering the damn search engine. They are hammering it to fit their particular way of thought, and it's really a damn shame, because the web used to be open and free.
Yes, people are fucking stupid. I agree. I hate everyone equally. That's why I find racism hilarious. Yeah, you know what? I'm not racist, but I am prejudiced. I've been assaulted more times by black people breaking the law than by white people. White people 0, black people 3. Does this create a prejudice in my mind against black people? Yeah, I'm more cautious around black people because I've never had white people assault me where I couldn't predict. I've had black people assault me where I couldn't predict.
Do you think all race car drivers are racists?
No, they're racers. I'm not racist, sexist, homophobic, or xenophobic. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. Very, very true.
That was a dad joke. Jeez.
Sometimes jokes fly over my head. I'm in think mode. Like, I've been in full think mode, looking at so many different concepts and trying to apply them to a way that I can reasonably make them make sense to me. Because admittedly, some of this is way over my head, and I have to dumb it down to make sense of it.
Yeah, a lot of times you can't make sense of stuff too.
That might be entirely possible.
Think about this. You're trying to make sense of, let's say, racism, right? And the majority of the racists out there have no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, and then they're the ones that are compared to people like me that try to be reasonable and talk it through.
Right, and they don't want to talk it through because they believe it.
And fair enough, to each their own. Feel free to believe in racism. It's when you act on your beliefs. If you act with physical action, then that is a crime.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, you don't have Twitter.
They feel they're as justified in doing that because they see the world as slanted the other direction. I mean,
I don't see the world slanted at all. I see the world as a heavily mixed variety of different potential variables. And I'm trying to assume that the mean or the median of them fall somewhere around the mean, and that I think somewhere around the mean, and how can I best understand the average of what people should be thinking, and where is that average, and how do you fall on that, and how do you describe it, how do you...
If you try to describe or explain or try to teach or bring those thoughts across, you'll be slapped down because nobody wants to hear it. They all believe in the religion of racism. They all believe in the religion of anger and the original. Originally, racism is basically ignorance and anger combined.
Welcome,
That's
Denny.
what racism is.
I should be racist considering things I've been through, but I'm not. I'm more careful and slightly prejudiced against certain situations because of variable outcomes, but that's me. That's how I look at the things. That's how I try to break it down and make sense of it.
I was a kid in junior high, or actually, what's after elementary school? Well, anyways,
grade.
We were at the gym field, and there was a bus bench in the middle of the gym field, and a lot of kids used to hang out at the bus bench underneath a tree, and there was this really tall black kid, and I think he had been held back a few years, so he was a few years older than everybody else, and he wore this hat, and fine, and he hung around and whatnot, and then at one point he walked over somewhere, but he put his hat on the bench, like to save his spot. And then I'm just doing my thing and whatever, and then at some point somebody throws the hat, and takes his spot. And when he comes back, whoever told him it was me, and he socked me right in the nose.
Yeah, you're going to have that. It is a crime if you want to press charges. But here's a fair assessment. And again, I try to compare to reality. If you get into a random fight with somebody, what's the probability you're going to call the cops if you guys are equally sized, equally matched, and maybe get one or two punches on each other and it doesn't go overboard?
Yeah, but this wasn't a fight. He just smashed me in the nose. He was like 2 feet taller than me and like 2 years older than me. And basically the coach grabbed his shoulder and grabbed my shoulder and walked us into the friggin' principal's office.
Okay, so somebody took care of it.
Yeah, but it was out of the blue. It was unexpected, and it colored my view.
Makes you learn
for the rest of my life.
That goes to an argument that was brought up in Australian news a few weeks ago, how women say they shouldn't be responsible for taking care of their own safety. They shouldn't have to worry about what comes around every corner. But you know what? Men have to do that. Men have to worry about other men or women or other people, what comes around the corner. Situational awareness of what's going on is something you inevitably have to learn, Data. You know this. I know this now. We didn't when we were kids.
We tend to be more 3D and situationally aware and process-based and whatnot. I mean, we'll pull something apart and put it back together. That's kind of the man's point of view. We see a problem, we fix it. If it's a dark alley, we'll bring a flashlight. If it's a dead battery, we'll make sure to bring a jumper cable.
Right. We try to you
learn
from your previous experiences.
Right. Well, we try to be prepared for the unexpected and whatnot. Girls, they're all about having fun.
Well, they have a goal. They intend to get to their goal, but they haven't necessarily been exposed to the potential negative outcomes that we have.
15 goals in their head at all times, and it's like it's like a maze, and they're thinking about this, and then they're thinking about that, and they're thinking about the other thing, and I love them for it, but they're crazy.
There you go. If you have no... I work in the construction trades. If you have no situational awareness, you're probably going to die. That's probably very true, considering I've done some construction. It's not unsafe. Isn't it one of the highest mortality jobs, too? It's up there near the top, construction. Can't understand normal thought.
I mean, and then what is it about women and toilet paper? I could have one roll of toilet paper for a month. They have 12 rolls in a week. What the hell?
know that feeling. Oh, so where are we?
Yeah, so okay, I missed the beginning of this show of yours here. So
Apparently, so did I, because I forgot to unmute myself for 2
what
minutes.
started you down this path? Because I'm seeing a
Oh.
manila envelope and it says candidate program, and unless you and unless you're planning on a lot of whoopee in space.
I was trying to calculate out the best potential outcome for a civilization to survive, starting with 8 individuals selected by the chat. Run those 8 individuals through the mathematical computations, allow the chat to throw in the wrenches to the works where they were available, and see what the outcome where the chat's decision would be, and then run all the math using chat randomness, probability equations on my side, and see if the population survives or dies.
I'd rather you like show us how to build a above ground swimming pool. Personally,
I didn't record it, but I could probably show you how to do that.
I'd love to watch you do minor home repair. I would love to watch you do plumbing, at home DIY plumbing. Then be in a spaceship with you. Going to another planet.
Data doesn't want to be locked in a spaceship with me, because I'm going to be in the spaceship going, have you heard? We need to run the third equation. We need to run the 123 times negative 27 to the power of 36.
I want to know from the people who wants on the spaceship, or who wants to see him do anything else other than this little mind experiment of his.
Welcome, Henrik. Welcome, redacted username.
Okay. Henrik wants on. He wants on the spaceship.
Who would like if I added an additional short episode once a week and tried to go over the scientific process with you guys?
Ryder says he'll be on the spaceship if it means kicking you.
Oh.
You can help me with this equation. I can't decide whether we have 8 feet or 9 feet of bay to work with.
Oh, kicking you out.
Time for Mars, says Chief Fuzzybeard. More streams, yes.
Then it says more streams. I'll be on this. Okay, well, hey. Far be it for me to stand in the way of science. If you guys want to go on the spaceship, that's fine. I'll be here on the planet, waving goodbye at the landing at the launching site.
Data's gonna wait, and when he'll send us a message as the asteroid's coming and destroying Earth, and we'll be over on Jupiter's 4th moon trying to survive.
I'll end up probably surviving, and then I'll find a whole row of cement trucks and pour cement over the elites' bunker doors and just bury them all for good.
All right, we are coming towards the end of another 1 hour of obviously crap.
Hey, that would be. Do you shoot, by the way?
I do when I have legal friends who have legal firearms that I can illegally fire.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I have rifles, shotguns, and
you're a pretty good shot.
I'm decent at close range, not bad at far range. I'm not bad at moving targets either. I'm actually better at moving targets than still ones for some reason.
Things getting better for you, work wise and all that, income wise.
I'm just barely gonna make it through August.
Shit, I know.
But once I get through August, September's looking a little better. So I'm quite thankful I'm sticking to the grind.
I'm just squeaking by too. I'm sure everybody else is also.
Oh, it's not easy. Jobs are hard to come by, and when you come by them, there's not a lot left when you get it.
Oh no, it's like even working. It's like it always seems to me that you put money in the bank and you just have enough to cover your nut and nothing else.
Look, I got an extra $60 this week. Wait, where did that extra $60 go?
Right.
Like, I know I just put it in the bank. Why is it not in the bank? I paid this, I paid that. I should have like $20 left.
Some asshole fee for $25, and then all of a sudden you're bouncing checks everywhere.
Yeah. So, if you guys would like to participate in a thought experiment, participation can be as little as showing up to the chat.
Just came.
Welcome, Nike Air. Participation in the thought experiment can be as little as showing up and participating in the chat on the days that I have options for you guys to choose from to randomize the equations.
Where do they send
all the way up to creating a fake candidate for me to put in the chat for you guys to vote on who gets to go, and then maybe
don't they get an email to send their applications in?
Please submit the email back when RSVP for your place in this situational awareness. What the hell are role-playing games called? What are they called again?
Why don't you put it on your Discord?
It's on my Discord. It has its own chat server. It's called Thought Experiment. There's a layout for the. It's a cheap application.
Put the link in your. I assume. Does anybody in chat have a problem joining a Numb's Discord? I promise you, he'll never look into your IP addresses.
I can do that. Why would I do that?
I'm just saying. A lot of people are nervous. You know, what's his name? That German guy freaked everybody out.
Oh. I don't use it much. I just communicate a lot of what we're doing, joke, and there's some bots in the chat. Yeah, I remember.
You know, Mr. Pregnant Trout? Yeah.
I remember.
So, put your Discord in the chat thing. Make sure everybody's joined up there, and then they can all submit their applications, their height, their sexual preference, their.
I don't want your personal information. I want you to create a fictional character that's semi-realistic for me.
Their height, their weight, their breast size, their sexual orientation.
I intend to try and sell all the fake data you give me for as much as I possibly can. I should get about 16 cents for 16 profiles. If I sell it 100 times, I can make $1.60.
I knew it.
I'm getting so annoyed when I apply for a job and get like 30 phone calls for a loan the very next day.
For what?
Every time I apply for a job, the very day after I click apply with the application completed, the very next day, it's like every hour my phone rings. This is Sarah calling because you can get better health deals. This is Lauren calling, offering you $1,000 advance on a
Those assholes are selling your information. Can you believe that?
When I look for a job, it's in the application. Right as you log in to start filling out a job application, there's actually an affidavit in there that says, by filling out this application, you agree that your information can be sold, this, that. So by filling out an application for a job, you're entering your name and profile into the same as their customer or shopping list, and all of that information gets sold.
Unfriggin' believable.
For jobs.
You would think
to get all the calls to stop until last month when it's getting on my nerves. Are you calling me a creep? Yeah, I probably am, but that's okay.
Maybe he's singing that song.
Which song?
The creep song.
Creep.
He was a creep.
Let us bring back some fun from Wednesday night.
Hey, did you ever copy that Captain Kirk saying, "Have no fear, Sargon is here"?
No.
Okay.
It's still in the Discord list of the many links that you send me on a regular basis.
Hey, I'll stop sending if you want.
I watch like 98% of everything you send me to, and I'll just sit there and go, what the hell am I even watching?
Starting to sound a little annoyed and bitter.
Some of them I'm sitting there going, I have to watch this again. What did he send me this for? What am I looking at here? And then I'll look at the message you sent me.
I'm trying to fill you in. You know nothing.
I'm filled in sometimes. Rarely. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what you don't know. What you don't know, you don't know.
I don't know what I don't know. That's the point of me running things I don't know. I didn't know there was a battle off the East Coast where the Statue of Liberty is. I did know that people thought it was on Ellis Island and not Liberty Island.
Did you?
But, yeah. Because I was under that misconception for a while that it was on Ellis Island, because that's how the history books almost read it out to be. That people would pass through Ellis Island and see the Statue of Liberty, not that they pass through Ellis Island to go to Liberty Island. But I've actually been there, so...
You would think it would be, too, since the Statue of Liberty says, bring me your huddled masses. And that's where the huddled masses...
Your huddled masses yearning to be free.
And the huddled masses went to that island.
So...
That's where they came in.
To give people an idea, every once in a while, data, like me, will throw those in there that you're not quite sure. I think this was in a list of sound effects, but I looked at this and went, really? Come on, load. Load.
No.
Hold on.
That is one big pile of shit.
That's one big pile of shit.
I thought about it. I really did think about it, but I'm looking at that going, wait. And that was the first one you sent me, I think, for that string of audio effects. And I'm looking at that like, what?
That was suggested by an audience member, and I went through the trouble of finding it for you and giving it to you.
Well, I haven't lost it yet. I just haven't copied it yet. I just started doing the sound effects again on Wednesday, and I've got 6 more slots.
Yes, I know. I listened to the entire hour and a half of sound effects. I said one thing at the beginning, and then I kind of was AFK and listening to that car wreck.
Sometimes when I wreck my car, I go all out.
Hey, do you have a car wreck sound? A screech and a crash?
I gotta get a crash. I gotta get a crash. I'm working on it. I got a nice screech, though. That took me a few minutes. That one hurts, too.
How about Red Wigglers, the Cadillac of worms. The Cadillac of worms. The Cadillac of worms.
Be happy. Now, you know what I'm also trying to include? Because
by the way, your Marvin Martian, it's a P-39 space modulator that he uses to explode the planet. Not a laser.
You just call it a laser. It's so much easier than describing the technical specifications that you would never understand anyway.
It's a P-38 plutonium.
I will get you!
Plutonium space modulator.
Alright, I have to pay attention to the reading manual next time.
It was told to you by Not Suitable for Mum in chat earlier.
The Marvin isn't far off, though. I've tried comparing it. It's pretty close. Sometimes I can't quite get to that tone, though, but... I can almost get to just the right place where I will get you.
The rabbit has stolen the space modulator!
The rabbit has taken my space modulator! Is that better?
No. You kind of lost it at the tour.
I did. It went a little high there. It hurts. You gotta hold part of your throat, not by hand, but you gotta pull a muscle to hold your throat tight enough to get that.
Does K9? He does K9 too. You remember K9 from Doctor Who, right?
Which one was K9?
K9 was the mechanical dog. It looked like a bread basket with a dog head. It used to roll around.
The one when he was
With the
with
nose
his
that came-
wife before she was
Yeah.
married to him.
The antenna came out his
Yeah.
nose.
This is my dog. What are you talking about?
That's K9.
Oh, so folks, there's other things that I have and I would like to watch, as you all know. If you would like to contribute or participate in any of my wild scams or plots or eccentric thought processes,
They
please.
all said they wanted a seat on your spaceship. So
All right. So
Make sure-
Wednesday next week is going to be hopefully the culmination of what I'm working on for this project. Hopefully I'll have 16 profiles that we can sit at, pick at, and make fun of and pick. And then we'll move the show on from there. Next Friday will be another Shoot the Crap as regular, not like this one. And tomorrow, Dada and I are going to discuss...
Why isn't it showing? There you go. Okay, guys, that's his Discord. So
Yeah, there
hop
you
in
go. That's all
there,
you gotta do.
sign up. Not sign
Make
up.
sure that-
Well, hop in there, show yourselves.
Oh, I can't click from there. Never mind.
You can send the messages directly.
Yeah, you can get hold of me on anything. All you got to do is just get hold of me if you want to contribute. If we don't get to it, I'll fudge a whole bunch of them and I'll just make fun with it. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, guys, you can get hold of me for anything you want. Make sure you, as always, play with all of my buttons that you enjoy playing with.
Have you
Make
figured
sure-
out what we're doing tomorrow?
Have you?
I thought
This is
you
how
were.
up in the air tomorrow is. Guys, I am looking for a topic. You want to see me deep dive and bring you information? I've been looking at the Blue Planet project again for some reason. I dug
Oh.
back into some of the files. I found a PDF for a book that's supposed to be locked away by the government. It's only available on specific request, but I found a couple copies online that look legitimate.
Do you have 10 minutes? I want to tell you something that I ran across.
Is this a live tell me something or a after the show
No,
information for me to process?
chat. I'm more than willing to let you guys listen. I had a discussion with somebody on the web, and it was kind of an interesting discussion. I thought, I'd tell you what I could tell everybody.
What do we got?
It's something about Hitler.
Ooh. Should we discuss World War II tomorrow? Hitler? Was Hitler right? Was Hitler wrong? Did
Okay,
6,000 Jews die?
the gist of this convo I had was, what if a leader of a country that was economically destroyed, that had runaway inflation, we're talking about wheelbarrows full of money to buy bread. What if somebody came to power and restarted the economy, started building highways, started giving every family a house with a garden, giving people work, giving people the ability to buy a car, making sure they had vacations at vacation spots, did all this stuff, and threw out all the bankers at the same time that wanted to basically double and triple and quadruple the debt. In other words, started printing his own money. What would happen to somebody? What would happen to somebody today that did that?
Oh, they'd be assassinated.
What if they couldn't be assassinated? What would happen?
Interesting.
Would the world turn against him, or would the media turn against him?
It's amazing that, and I hate doing this because it bothers me to generalize this broadly, but the leftists seem to be using the same propaganda Hitler used, claiming that everybody else is Hitler for using some methods that were, believe it or not, used to detract from Hitler.
What blew my mind was this person linked me a actual report from the Red Cross from 1945. And I don't know if you're familiar, but towards the end of the war, the Red Cross, stepped in. Actually, throughout most of the war, the Red Cross stepped in and actually sent like little gift packages to all the prisoners behind in Germany. And a lot of times when the Germans were more than willing to have them come in, it was the Allies that stopped them from coming in. And reading now, again, you have to look at things in perspective because, back then we're told that anti-Semitism was rampant. So, these reports could be written by an anti-Semitic. This was the International Red Cross, though. So I don't know if it's true or not, but they basically, maybe this is where the Holocaust deniers get their basis from. But these two reports, 1944 and 1945, basically say that there was no wholesale, gas chambers, and that wasn't going on. If anything, where you had situations where you had piles and piles of dead bodies, it was disease, because towards the end of the war, Germany was so screwed up that they couldn't even get, the Red Cross couldn't even get food to the prisoners. So
and
they
again,
basically
when you look at the way the war played out, it was Allied troops that cut off food supplies to the German population.
Oh yeah,
when they cut that food supply off, they did it to themselves.
They bombed the shit out of the infrastructure. Dresden was, they carpet bombed cities, not military installations, cities. They carpet bombed Dresden. They carpet bombed Hamburg. They carpet bombed, most of the major cities in Germany. So, it was pretty fucked up back then. So there was no food moving around, and for weeks and weeks and weeks, these people all starved and got diseases and whatnot. And that's what they're saying. And it was nowhere. And they're also saying that it was nowhere near the numbers because the numbers don't make sense. In other words, before and after the war, the numbers weren't missing 6 million. Matter of fact, 6 million is a huge number in the first place. A lot of those prisoners were sent to the Eastern Bloc, the Russian countries, Poland and whatnot. And by the end of the war, Germany pretty much shrunk all the way back to, or at least its military shrunk all the way back to Berlin.
What I'm about to say is a terrible thing to say, but the best way to make the war sound worse, to make it not happen again, is to inflate the numbers and inflate the losses and the hazards that went and happened for that war to cause it to deter it from happening again. That would be the best way.
And also after the war, there was a huge move to give give a Jewish state, and that state would be Madagascar. So in other words, they would have an island off the African coast without having Arabs as enemies surrounding them.
So tomorrow night, the 1940s and 50s and the war and how it may have affected us and possibilities without potentially...
Do we really want to do that? Because, I don't want to be labeled a Holocaust denier or anything like that. So
I tell you what, I'll make some notes and we'll skim the edge of denying.
I'm just bringing you a convo I had with somebody, and they were.
How about we do this? How about
that
I do what I'm good at, Data? Let's do this. You want to bring it up? You want to bring up numbers? You want to talk about probabilities and possibilities? Tomorrow night on the show, I will come with as much information and numbers, and we will look at the math to see what adds up.
Well,
To the best I can find it.
Look at what the chat is saying.
Don't mention the war, LOL. There is truth to it. And then TA says war. Okay, I don't want to mention the war. How about I look up information? I see what I can find, and without comparing it to the war or the Holocaust, because that's not at all my point. Let's try to determine population, entities, eras, and see.
Heinrich, are you a member of his Discord? Because if you are, and if you have info for him, please paste it. That Madagascar plane you're talking about, and whatever else you have.
Yep. You guys are welcome to get hold of me on Discord, Twitter, whatever. However, it is 1:15. We have gone over time. I will do some information digging and see what we come up with. I thank you guys all so much. Remember to hit those buttons on your way out. And
I hope I didn't bug you guys too much. I hope I didn't overstep any boundaries. I'm thankful that you invited me. I'm thankful that the chat, asked me to come in. I just thought you needed a little, I don't know, a hug.
Well, as my final sound for the night, I'm sure you guys love this one, but
get it out of me now!
Everybody have a good night. Goodbye.